Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today I'm going to show you how to change the oil in the air filter on this CUB CADET LX42 XT1 CUB CADET riding mower. This is a really nice riding mower. This is kind of my annual maintenance I do. You ever wonder where the part number for your CUB CADET is? Lift the seat, right there's the model number and everything you need for your CUB CADET. Here's the model number of the engine. So this is the 7000 series Kohler 22 horsepower. So here we have our oil filter, and that's where we're going to hook a tube up to get the oil to come out. Now the kit I bought also has fuel filters on. I don't do fuel filters every year. And if you're ever looking for some easy part numbers, CUB CADET hides it a little bit, but the sticker right here tells you some of the common parts that you're going to need. Okay, so we're going to use 10W30. I've got some fully synthetic 10W30 oil. And for the KT725, yeah, this has got the KT725 engine in it. So for the KT725, I need 2 quarts of oil. Okay, so I buy these kits off of Amazon. This is $21. It's the Powtol, but it's for the Kohler KT725 engine. It comes with all of those. Here's what you get. So make sure you take this plastic off of the oil filter. It comes with 2 spark plugs. I don't change my spark plugs every year. It comes with hose clamps for the fuel filter. It comes with 2 fuel filters. My engine only has 1 fuel filter. These fuel filters are quite a bit bigger, but again, I don't change fuel filters every year, but I do the air filter. This is the this goes around it. We're gonna put a little bit of oil on it. So I'll put a link in my description to this exact kit off of Amazon. Okay, so the first thing, let's kind of clean this area up around here. Because we're gonna be working in this. We don't want dirt around kind of getting into where we're working. It's just a good idea to kind of clean this area. Get an old toothbrush, just get the dirt off around here. We're gonna blow this all off so that we're not getting any dirt when we put our new stuff in, because now's the time to clean it. It's all protected right now. We don't want to be cleaning this when we've got the fuel filter off and all that. So anytime I'm using compressed air, I really like these long extensions. It gets you away from the area you're blowing off, and you won't get the stuff in your eyes. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is warm up the engine. So let's start it and let it warm up for a little bit. Okay, so I've got it running. If you ever want to get off of it with it running, press the brake and put the parking brake on. Press that down while that pedal down, and the engine will stay running and you can get off of it. Okay, so the reason we get the oil nice and warm is so it drains out a little easier, and that way you're not waiting a long time for it to drain out. The oil's nice and hot, it'll flow out really good. So this thing's got a little cap. You're gonna take the cap off. Now, you may have gotten a tube, like a clear tube. I don't have that clear tube anymore. I've got this hose. I'm not sure what size it is, but it slips on there, and this makes your job so much easier. Get you an old hospital bedpan, and your oil's, we're going to open this up by turning this. So the first thing we'll do is make sure you got gloves on and some rags, but open the dipstick to let air into the engine. The oil will flow out a little bit quicker. Yeah, just set the dipstick over there. So now we want to push in on this and then turn it just a little bit. You can see that ear. And then we want to kind of just pull it. And then when we pull it, oil just starts coming out. That's as easy as it gets. And the oil's nice and warm, so it's coming out. It kind of mixes up if there's any kind of dirt or anything in there. It kind of mixes it up and flows out a little easier. So we're going to let this flow out for a little bit. So you don't necessarily need that tube. The oil will come out. You could put a piece of cardboard here to kind of direct it a little bit farther away from the frame. So you don't necessarily need that tube, but it does help. So unfortunately, you do have to wait a little bit. The oil doesn't come out super fast. So even though, see, it's draining just a little bit, make sure you get all the oil out. Okay, so we got all the oil out. Now we're gonna close this. Very, very important. So we're gonna push and then turn. And make sure, see, that was even loosening up back there. We don't want that to loosen up at all. So see how that is in its notch? Now I can take this tube off, okay? Make sure you put the dust cap back on. Okay. Now we're gonna take the oil filter off. Now the oil filter, I just use a standard, they do make sockets, big sockets for them, but I just use these pliers. We're gonna get ourselves a little piece of cardboard. It does make kind of a mess. There, just put some cardboard with a V like there. It's gonna go right into the pan. Okay, so let's get on these wrenching flats. There. And we're just gonna spin it off. And hopefully not make a mess. Yeah. I always like to let it drain just a little bit before I take it all the way off. So I got my new filter ready to go. I've got the old box, or the box that the new filter came in. It's great to put the old filter in there. Kind of helps. Alright, so spin it off. If in case you're wondering, it's a 120501 full flow oil filter from Kohler. Now the Kohler oil filters are a little more expensive. Okay. So then if you dump it over, you can get all the rest of the oil out. Make sure that black O-ring stays on the filter. This is nice and clean here. So one thing I've started doing, I didn't used to do this, but it is a really good idea. So get your oil, I got 2 quarts, is fill your oil filter up with oil. I fill it up right below the threads. So it does help when you first start the engine, you're not starving the engine for oil. So that's a really good idea to do. So it does make putting it on a little tricky, so I also like to put a little bit of oil on that black O-ring. Now, I got some oil right here. I shouldn't have got it right there. I should have dumped it right down the middle. So dump it down the middle only, not around the side. Okay, so we're going to put the oil filter on. Again, I kind of wiped up some of that oil. Make sure you just put it down that center. Now, some of the oil is going to come out when you turn it sideways. And again, make sure that black O-ring's got just a little bit of O-ring on it. Make sure this is all nice and clean. So you're just going to start it and hopefully get it started before the oil drains out. Yeah. Don't cross-thread it. Just take your time, nice and easy. So tightening an oil filter can be a little tricky. So screw it on until it stops, till the gasket comes in contact with the engine. So right there, the gasket's in contact with the engine. Now the nice thing about having rubber gloves on is it makes it easy to tighten these down. We want to hand tighten this only. So my glove got a bunch of oil on it, so it's not. So grab it and you're going to tighten it down. You're smashing that O-ring till you really can't tighten it down anymore. That's almost one full revolution when the gasket comes in contact. So don't tighten it down super tight, but you only want to tighten this down by hand. Okay, we've got that tightened down. We're going to get a nice clean funnel right where the dipstick goes. Again, 10W30. I like full synthetic. Pour this in nice and slow. You can't overfill it and it makes a big mess. I'm going to put all 2 quarts. So I did put a little bit of this oil in the filter, but now I'm going to finish putting the rest of those 2 quarts in here. Okay, so now we got the dipstick. We're going to wipe this all off and then we're going to put it back in. If you've already done your air filter, now you can stop and start the engine. Once you start the engine, let it warm up a little bit, check for leaks, make sure no oil's coming out, turn your engine off, and then take your dipstick out, wipe it off, put it back in, and then it's got 2 really nice marks, a full and a low. So check, make sure your oil level's good. We're gonna do the air filter now. So up here in the front, there's not much room, but you're gonna these little levers you're gonna push, and this is gonna come out. There's your air filter. Now again, I've got some crud. I don't want this crud getting into my engine. I'm gonna blow this off really quick. I'm not gonna direct it into the engine. I'm just gonna kind of blow the stuff off. I may even take this pre-filter off. Okay, so I just lightly blew around. Now we're just gonna lift the air filter off. So we still got some crud around there. Oh, I don't like that stuff getting in the engine. I'm gonna stuff a rag down that hole and blow it off some more. They're just so dirty up there. Get yourself a nice clean paper towel or something, stuff it in that hole, and just give it a light blowing off around here. Okay, so here we've got the old filter, and this is called a pre-filter. And here we've got the new one and the new one. So they want you to put a little bit of oil. We're not gonna put any oil on. This is paper, but this is foam. So you got your old, I mean, this is what your new oil came in. You're gonna have some oil left over in there, just some drops. So here's an easy trick. You'll get some drops come out of there because it never all comes out. See, just put some oil on there, and then you got your gloves on still. So use your gloves to smash it. What that'll do is that'll spread that oil all through that pre-filter. They just want a little bit of oil in that pre-filter to kind of help get out some of the really, really fine particles. If you got too much, just put it on a rag and smash it in the rag. You know, you just want a fine coating inside here. Nothing too heavy, nothing too heavy. So then you can put it on here now. It just goes on the outside. I used two hands, sorry. Okay, so see how I've got the pre-filter wrapped around? It's covering the paper up. So it's gonna go, it's gonna go through this pre-filter first before it gets to the main filter. So now we're ready to install this. There's not a front or a back, we're just gonna set it on there. Okay, be sure and take your towel out. Very, very important. Make sure none of it's left down in there. And then we just set it on there. Make sure it's nice, and you got to kind of press it. It's kind of hard. You want to feel around, make sure it's nice and flush. That was a little tricky to put on. Make sure it's on there nice and good. Otherwise you'll be sucking in dirty air. So yeah, let's go clean this up a little bit. Okay, we got that all cleaned up. Make sure these ears are out. Those are little keyways that are going to fit in those keyways. And you're just going to simply make sure you got it all. It should fit right on there, kind of snug. And then when you press those down, you got to kind of press down and they should snap. There. That is on there. Nice and tight. It's nice and flush all the way around. Again, I don't do the oil filter every year, or the fuel filter, and I don't do, there's 2 spark plugs. That kit came with spark plugs, so I may do it next year. So now let's start it up and check for oil leaks, and we'll check the oil level when we're done. Okay, so here's a little trick I didn't know if anybody knew, but when you first turn this key on, the hour meter displays the battery voltage. I just learned that the other day. That's pretty cool. Then when you start it, it goes to hours. So we don't have any leaks. Got it nice and warm. So now you want to let it sit for just a little bit. Okay, let it sit. Let the oil kind of drain down to the bottom of the engine case, and then we're going to pull the dipstick. So when you pull the dipstick, you can check it right then and there if it's been sitting for a while. But let's wipe it off. Reinstall the dipstick all the way till it snaps. Pull it back out. And this can be a little hard to see, but I am right above the full line. We're good to go. Wipe it off. Make sure you put it in and it snaps. Thanks everybody for watching. This is my annual maintenance on this CUB Cadet. I'm going to sharpen the blades next, so I'm going to do another video on how to sharpen the blades. Thanks everybody for watching, and if you could, please like and subscribe.